We want to ensure the internet is a safe place, but it is one thing to prevent a predator from preying on a child on the internet, and it is something quite different to prevent a grown man or woman from accessing an opinion that the government thinks is misinformation.
JD Vance just called out the EU in a brutally honest speech about AI, censorship, and innovation. He basically told Europe, stop overregulating and start innovating. And honestly, he's right. We're going to go through some of it together. I will link the video below so that you can watch the full thing. But in case you're in a rush, in a very nice way, he said, stop being little bitches with all your regulations and start innovating. We, the US, can either be a friend that will help you reach new heights or a wall you will break your bones on. Welcome to the Weekly Brew. I'm your host, Chico Moya. JD Vance is such an impressive politician and speaker, in my opinion. The EU needs a wake-up call. Like it or not, America is moving fast. There's new energy in the country, a patriotism and confidence that's fueling innovation. Meanwhile, Europe seems hesitant, afraid to take risks, afraid to lead. That's why this speech hit home. JD Vance perfectly articulated what many of us living in Europe already feel. We are stagnating. Some countries in the EU hesitate to show too much patriotism, afraid of their past or being called racist. Others are having an identity crisis, morbidly accepting decline in certain areas of society. America, on the other hand, is coming across as a confident big brother, a leader worth following. Watch as JD Vance lays out the road the United States is going to take, whether the EU comes along or not.
And I'm not here this morning to talk about AI safety, which was the title of the conference a couple of years ago. I'm here to talk about AI opportunity. When conferences like this convene to discuss a cutting-edge technology, oftentimes I think our response is to be too self-conscious, too risk-averse. But never have I encountered a breakthrough in tech that so clearly calls us to do precisely the opposite. Now, our administration, the Trump administration, believes that AI will have countless revolutionary applications in economic innovation, job creation, national security, healthcare, free expression, and beyond. And to restrict its development now will not only unfairly benefit incumbents in the space, it would mean paralyzing one of the most promising technologies we have seen in generations. Now, with that in mind, I'd like to make 4 main points today. Number 1, this administration will ensure that American AI technology continues to be the gold standard worldwide, and we are the partner of choice for others, foreign countries, and certainly businesses as they expand their own use of AI. Number 2, we believe that excessive regulation of the AI sector could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off, and will make every effort to encourage pro-growth AI policies. And I like to see that deregulatory flavor making its way into a lot of the conversations this conference. Number 3, we feel very strongly that AI must remain free from ideological bias, and that American AI will not be co-opted into a tool for authoritarian censorship. And finally, number 4, the Trump administration will maintain a pro-worker growth path for AI, so it can be a potent tool for job creation in the United States. And I appreciate Prime Minister Modi's point. AI, I really believe, will facilitate and make people more productive. It is not going to replace human beings. It will never replace human beings. And I think too many of the leaders in the AI industry, when they talk about this fear of replacing workers, I think they really miss the point. AI, we believe, is going to make us more productive, more prosperous, and more free. The United States of America is the leader in AI, and our administration plans to keep it that way. The U.S. possesses all components across the full AI stack, including advanced semiconductor design, frontier algorithms, and, of course, transformational applications. Now, the computing power this stack requires is integral to advancing AI technology. And to safeguard America's advantage, the Trump administration will ensure that the most powerful AI systems are built in the U.S. with American-designed and manufactured chips. Now, just because we're the leader doesn't mean we want to or need to go it alone, of course. And let me be emphatic about this point. America wants to partner with all of you. And we want to embark on the AI revolution before us with a spirit of openness and collaboration.
There's a meme out there that I've used before. China has DeepSeek, America has OpenAI, Meta AI, Grok, and Europe, well, our most exciting innovation is a bottle cap that won't come off. Yes, it's an oversimplification. There is innovation happening, but in limited spaces. As someone living in the EU, it does feel like we've slowed down. We're overregulated, sensitive, and slow to act. The AI race is on. This is the next frontier of human development with real-world, practical, tangible effects. Countries with very different value systems than the West, like China and Russia, are rushing ahead aggressively. Safety be damned. This is a very dangerous time to be left behind. So the USA, through Vance, is giving the EU an olive branch with some conditions. Before we go to the next clip, like this video, it really helps, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Let's go to the clip.
But to create that kind of trust, we need international regulatory regimes that fosters the creation of AI technology rather than strangles it. And we need our European friends in particular to look to this new frontier with optimism rather than trepidation. Now, the development of cutting-edge AI in the U.S. is no accident. By preserving an open regulatory environment, we've encouraged American innovators to experiment and to make unparalleled R&D investments. Of the $700 billion, give or take, that's estimated to be spent on AI in 2028, over half of it will likely be invested in the United States of America. Now, this administration will not be the one to snuff out the startups and the grad students producing some of the most groundbreaking applications of artificial intelligence. Instead, our laws will keep big tech, little tech, and all other developers on a level playing field. Now, with the President's recent executive order on AI, we're developing an AI action plan that avoids an overly precautionary regulatory regime while ensuring that all Americans benefit from the technology and its transformative potential. Now, we invite your countries to work with us and to follow that model if it makes sense for your nations. However, the Trump administration is troubled by reports that some foreign governments are considering tightening the screws on U.S. tech companies with international footprints. Now, America cannot and will not accept that, and we think it's a terrible mistake, not just for the United States of America, but for your own countries. The U.S. innovators of all sizes already know what it's like to deal with onerous international rules. Many of our most productive tech companies are forced to deal with the EU's Digital Services Act and the massive regulations it created about taking down content and policing so-called misinformation. And of course, we want to ensure the internet is a safe place, but it is one thing to prevent a predator from preying on a child on the internet, and it is something quite different to prevent a grown man or woman from accessing an opinion that the government thinks is misinformation. Meanwhile, for smaller firms, navigating the GDPR means paying endless legal compliance costs or otherwise risking massive fines. Now, for some, the easiest way to avoid the dilemma has been to simply block EU users in the first place. Is this really the future that we want? Ladies and gentlemen, I think the answer for all of us should be no. Now, there's no issue where we worry about more than regulation when it comes to energy. And again, I appreciated the comments of so many at the conference because they recognize that we stand now at the frontier of an AI industry that is hungry for reliable power and high-quality semiconductors. Yet too many of our friends are deindustrializing on the one hand and chasing reliable power out of their nations and off their grids with the other. The AI future is not going to be won by hand-wringing about safety. It will be won by building, from reliable power plants to the manufacturing facilities that can produce the chips of the future. Now, at a personal level,
to put it simply, what he just said was, join us. We'll carry you. But we're going to need you to stop clutching pearls and start taking risks. Start moving forward with a sense of hope. And we need you to stop treating adults like children who can't critically think for themselves. On several occasions, I've personally been unable to see a tweet from an account that's blocked in the EU. I always find it so annoying. America, on the other hand, has the First Amendment as their North Star. Partnering with them means that the EU is going to have to align more closely ideologically. A lot of the US tech companies are heavily fined, heavily regulated, and often punished by the EU to the tune of billions. The heavy-handed regulations also make investment and innovation from startups almost impossible. That's a disaster. The same can be said for energy. The EU is shutting down industries in the name of green energy while buying power from hostile countries. Until recently, Russia was one of the biggest gas suppliers. How does that make sense? We're weakening ourselves at a time when we need to be stronger. The EU is basically shooting itself in the foot. We've become pretty good at that, apparently. We need to be told this. Here's one more part I want you to watch before giving my closing remarks.
Now, we've also watched as hostile foreign adversaries have weaponized AI software to rewrite history, surveil users, and censor speech. This is hardly new, of course. As they do with other tech, some authoritarian regimes have stolen and used AI to strengthen their military, intelligence, and surveillance capabilities, capture foreign data, and create propaganda to undermine other nations' national security. I want to be clear. This administration will block such efforts, full stop. We will safeguard American AI and chip technologies from theft and misuse, work with our allies and partners to strengthen and extend these protections, and close pathways to adversaries attaining AI capabilities that threaten all of our people. And I would also remind our international friends here today that partnering with such regimes, it never pays off in the long term. From CCTV to 5G equipment, we're all familiar with cheap tech in the marketplace that's been heavily subsidized and exported by authoritarian regimes. But as I know, and I think some of us in this room have learned from experience, partnering with them means chaining your nation to an authoritarian master that seeks to infiltrate, dig in, and seize your information infrastructure. Should a deal seem too good to be true, just remember the old adage that we learned in Silicon Valley: if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product.
He's clearly talking about China here. There is an entire geopolitical aspect to technology, which I won't get into now, but America is coming out and saying, join us, stand with us, not with them. I, for one, am a big believer in the Western world. The US and the EU hegemony makes the world safer. Yes, there are many problems that need to be solved, but it's time for the EU to wake up, get off the sidelines, and start playing the game. Because if we don't, we lose. Period. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, ciao.